Hey guys, a little bit of housekeeping before we start this week's video. Number one, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing a hat in the middle of June, and we'll cover that at the end of the video if you last that long. Number two, this video, like last video, is going to contain no B-roll. B-roll is the footage that I show that is anything other than the shot that you're seeing of me here now talking to you. The reason I didn't include it in the last video is I didn't feel like I could film anything appropriately suited to it. And the same applies to this one, but let me know if you prefer videos that contain B-roll or not. And finally, please like the video and please subscribe to the channel. It helps me with reaching more people and it's just great to see you guys interacting with the channel. All right, let's get to it. The only man who makes no mistakes is the man who never does anything. Do not be afraid to make mistakes, providing you are not making the same mistake twice. Theodore Roosevelt. We all want success in life, whether it be in our careers, relationships, or anything else for that matter. But the path to success is often littered with many failures. The difference then to those who succeed as opposed to those who fail is not necessarily that they do anything differently, other than the fact that they don't give up. They don't allow their failures to define them. Instead, they allow them to teach them. The most important thing we can do for ourselves when it comes to failure is reframe the way we look at it. The word itself can conjure up feelings of defeat, disappointment, maybe even sadness. But how we should be looking at it is as a learning curve. A little piece of data that we can take away and process and come back the next day and try again with a little bit more information than we had the last time. Now, of course, some events might appear to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but what we learn from one failure might help us with a future success, even if at first they don't seem particularly related. The problem is we tend to develop a fear of failure, and this fear can lead us to taking less chances, which can lead us to experiencing less opportunities. So it becomes important that we learn to embrace our failures, that we learn not to judge ourselves or others based on theirs. Because at the end of the day, it happens to all of us. Have you ever met a healthy human who could only crawl, who after numerous attempts as an infant at trying to walk, decided that this wasn't for them and that crawling was going to be enough? No, of course not. They fall and they fail again and again, but eventually, at different paces, all babies that can learn how to walk. The process of learning how to walk is simply repeated, continuous failures, with each failure providing the baby with a little bit more information that they can process and work on, each failure giving them an opportunity to develop more strength and coordination until they're able to take that very first step. The reason a baby doesn't give up with the idea of walking is they're not pre-programmed with things like shame and disappointment like we are as adults. Their egos haven't developed to even understand what looking silly means. You could also look at the fact that babies don't receive any judgment for failing when they attempt to walk. If anything, they're showered with praise and encouragement. But enough about babies. Let's look at how this applies to you. What area of your life are you currently experiencing a fear of failure? What activity or task are you resisting right now? And more importantly, what can you do to get out of your own way? Acknowledgement is obviously the first step. You need to recognize that there's an issue so that you can start working on resolving it. But next, you need to get comfortable with failing. The best way to do this is to try something new. Try something that you don't feel particularly emotionally attached to, that you're not going to mind too much about experiencing failure with. Ensure that it's something challenging and go into it with the mindset of knowing that failure is going to be part of the journey. And be very aware of yourself when you do. Learn to laugh at it, learn to shrug it off, and learn to try again. We want to be able to develop the ability to try things without a fear of judgment. And in allowing ourselves to have this playful nature towards new experiences, it will open up greater opportunities for us in the future. Remember that failure is going to happen to all of us. So developing a resilience to its negative effects is essential. You cannot avoid it, but you can become the kind of person who overcomes it. Beyond this, you need to track things. We are all guilty of burying our head in the sand with things like our finances, because sometimes it's easier to just not look at the numbers rather than face the reality of what it means. Again, fear rears its ugly head. Keep a journal, use a habit tracker, get someone close to you to hold you accountable to the things you say you want to do. Also keep in mind that your energy is finite, and if you're not willing to fail over and over again at something, it usually just means that that thing isn't as important to you as you thought it was. And that's okay. Maybe you just need to redirect your energy. As Warren Buffett said, if you find yourself in a chronically leaking boat, energy devoted to changing vessels is better spent than energy spent on patching leaks. The path to success is not a straight line. It's easy to look at people who have what you want and fail to see all of the mistakes they needed to make along the way, all the failures they had which made them the person they are and got them to where they are in their lives. Be prepared to fail, with the knowledge that your failures are what your success will be built upon. And as always, take care of yourself. So as I said at the start of the video, you might be wondering why I'm wearing a hat today. I tried to cut my own hair, and this was actually the inspiration for today's video because I failed, and I failed real bad. Want to see?